Hey gang. Well, today was a day I was actually gonna try uh, to do a video for you guys where I was gonna try to share my thoughts on the passing of Chris Benoit, and um, but I had absolutely no idea that today is the was 10 years ago when it happened. And originally, I was just going to get on here and share my thoughts and share. Well, I don't know if you guys will think it's a funny story or not, of what happened the night after of what happened when my buddy Tyler and I found out about what happened. I don't know if you want to call it funny or ironic or what, but it's kind of a weird story. Uh, but I do want to share some thoughts real quick on everything. And you always get asked that question. Where were you when such thing happened? Where were you when Kennedy was assassinated, or where were you when uh, man first landed on the moon, or where were you the first Super Bowl? Where were you uh, when Spinal Tap's drummer exploded? I tell people, like, I was nowhere near any of those places. Um, but in this case, it was really strange because I won't forget the day after it happened. Um, you know, it seemed like nobody knew, which was really weird. I was living with my buddy Tyler at the time, and I was actually kind of surprised he didn't come across it on anything, because he was on his desktop at the time, and he was and I'm surprised he never came and told me about what happened or anything like that. It seemed like it was pretty. It was almost like it was pretty hush hush throughout most of the day, or either that, or maybe he just wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention. Uh, but it was really weird, because before before I found out what happened, this was during the time they were still trying to do the whole who was the cause of Mr. McMahon's limo explosion storyline they were doing. And I got to be honest with you, that whole tribute show they had to Mr. McMahon, it was in bad taste. It was in poor taste because they're trying to have a fake tribute show to a TV character, you know, and they were going to do investigations and all this other stuff and everything. But then, of course, what happened with Chris Benoit and his family happened, and they dropped it like a bad habit. And I'll never forget. Again, I went on for a walk about 5 o'clock. Raw was going to come on about 7. I don't remember a whole lot about. I think they were going to do like a 3-hour special as to who was behind the whole thing, and that kind of got scrapped, obviously. So I get back to the house about 7 o'clock, and I'm trying to get the tape ready uh, to get everything ready to go, because I would always tape, Raw, then SmackDown, then Raw, then SmackDown, and so on and so forth on different tapes for Tyler and his dad, because they watched together. So I get to the house, get the tape ready, and what's the first thing I see on the USA Network? An old Chris Benoit match. Now I thought to myself, okay, this is kind of strange. This is kind of weird that this is going on, but okay, all right. Well, they're doing something for Chris Benoit. Well, that's nice. Then they go to the commercial break, and and when they come back, there's Vince McMahon standing in the middle of the ring in an empty arena, and he announced Chris Benoit's passing. I told Tyler about it. He was in another he was like I said, he was in the next room, um, on the desktop, and he couldn't believe it. And it was just so shocking. And there were reports. Of course, the original reports going around was that he got a text from his wife saying that there was a carbon monoxide leak in the new home, and he had to bail on his match at Night of Champions, where it was supposed to be him and CM Punk to crown a new ECW champion. But of course, Benoit got replaced by Johnny Nitro, became John Morrison, who's now Johnny Mundo. It's really amazing how I know all this stuff, huh? and and that's what we were led to believe. And then, of course, the next night on ECW, Vince McMahon pretty much just said, it was like, just forget about everything that was said and all this, because apparently what was believed to be the real story happened and all this other stuff. And again, the Mr. McMahon limousine explosion thing was tasteless, but I think what they did with Chris Benoit for a long, long time was even more tasteless, trying to erase him from existence. There was word going around that Vince ordered any WWE DVDs with Chris Benoit on it, recall them, and put this black figure thing where he looked like basically a puff of smoke in a way on any of the DVDs, just wipe him away from existence. Just sit there and say Chris Benoit never existed, never was born, never worked for the WWE, never worked for the WWF, nothing like that. And that was really, really lame. That was really, really stupid. And so I told Tyler about what happened, and he was like me, he felt bad, and then I told him, well, I really feel horrible at this point. He says, well, you should. I said, well, it's not just that. It's, well, before I got back here and before I found all this out, I heard a song that made me just really just made me feel so terrible. I listened to. And he said, well, what was the last song you heard before you found out the news? And I said, it was Weird Al Yankovic's Canadian Idiot. The last song on my MP3 player, and that's what played before I found out what happened with Chris Benoit's passing. His eyes got really wide, his jaw dropped, and he just couldn't believe it. And for the longest time, whenever we kind of had a little silly argument, he would bring that up. He would sit there and talk about that song and everything like that. And I'm like, well, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I couldn't listen to any other Canadian rock band before I got here. Like that would have made a difference anyway. But, when we all found out what happened with Chris, it was really sad and it was very, very tragic. Nowadays, it seems like WWE is okay with announcing that Benoit worked for them and everything like that. But I think it was really, really stupid for what they did. And a lot of people say, well, we need to put Chris Benoit in the Hall of Fame. And a lot of people are opposed to that because they say, well, Chris Benoit did this to his family. But when you really think about, several people that were in the Hall of Fame or still are in there, a lot of people just like sit there and argue. Like, well, look who they put in there, and look what so and so did, and all this other stuff. And I tell them, like, well, technically Chris Benoit is in the Hall of Fame. Because they inducted the Four Horsemen, which basically means anybody who was a member of the Four Horsemen technically is in the Hall of Fame. So that means technically Chris Benoit has a spot in the Hall of Fame. They may not mention it, they may not want to admit it, but in a way, yeah. So, there you go, I guess. Of course, and again, everybody's arguing about Owen Hart needs to be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm thinking, you know what? They mostly just want to induct characters. They couldn't induct Scott Hall, but they could induct Razor Ramon. So I swear, if they try to induct the Blue Blazer just to get around to inducting Owen Hart, I might get so mad you might see smoke coming out of my ears. But yeah, I just wanted to do this real quick for you guys, and if you have any thoughts on Chris Benoit, all I ask of you is to please be respectful in what you say. Share your thoughts, memories of watching him. Were you a fan? Did you think maybe he was underrated? Like I said, just please be respectful in all that you say, and that's all I can ask you guys to do. And yeah, 10 years, man, 10 years. Uh, so so I guess that's gonna do it for me. I just wanted to kind of do this video for you. Um, I don't know whether to call it a story video or what, but it's ultimately it's just something about I want to talk to you guys about what happened and everything like that. And again, just try to get your thoughts on this whole matter. So thanks for watching, everybody. And if you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys are having an awesome weekend. Take care of yourselves. God bless you all. And until next time, as always, stay strong and rock on.